Ogtv, the People's Telly.
Hello and welcome. This is the news on Ogtv. I am Mojisola Sholaja. We're reaching you live from our studios in Abeokuta. Ogun State government restates commitment towards developing education sector. National Council of State approves preparations made by INEC towards successful conduct of 2019 general elections. Scops killed in Taliban attack on Afghan intelligence base.
On business news tonight, Central Bank of Nigeria approves monetary policy rate (NPR), otherwise known as interest rate, at 14%. I'll be giving you details on this report and other business stories when I return on the business news segment. I am Olayinka Shodunke.
And on sport news tonight, Cristiano Ronaldo avoids jail over tax evasion, pays 18.8 million euros. I'll see you later on the news for more sports updates. My name is Moses Ojewumi.
Welcome once again. Ogun State, under the leadership of the present administration, led by Senator Ibikunle Amosun, has achieved a lot in the education sector, being one of its 5 cardinal programs. In this report, Ido Fabajo takes a look at some of these achievements in the last 7 years of the administration. His report.
Education is a key that unlocks potentials and ingredients for development of any society. Hence, energy and resources are directed towards ensuring that education is given its pride of place in the scheme of things. This has been the watchword of this administration so far. Improving on the standard met in education, the current administration in Ogun State, led by Senator Ibikunle Amosun, on his assumption of office, made affordable and qualitative education his priority. In the last 7 years, his administration embarked on renovating dilapidated structures of different public schools, payment of WAEC backlog fee, and introduced unified examination in public primary and secondary schools, among others.
The unified examinations have also been a novel introduction of this administration, and what it has helped us to achieve is some level of consistency and minimum standards across all of our schools. So gone are the days where a child in a rural setting is being exposed to a different curriculum than their counterparts in the urban setting.
Laudable achievements of Senator Ibikunle Amosun-led administration in education sector also include collaboration with local and foreign stakeholders with the organization of regular education summit, several trainings for teachers, among others.
For us, education takes the prime position in this quest to rebuild our state. Not just because it is our number one, but because we understand that when people are well educated, they will be useful to themselves and contribute so well to the social and economic development of the society. And once they are educated, they will be readily involved in developing all the other sectors of our state and even be it our nation.
I commend today the Ogun State government under Governor Amosun that they have made education a priority too. And the German government is glad to participate in this endeavor with small steps. And as was mentioned, one of the steps is, and I'm very grateful that the Ogun State government accepted it, to have German as a foreign language at the school again.
Among the first of its kind was the establishment of model schools across the 20 local government areas of the state and regular summer camp, which most students look forward to at every long vacation.
We conceived the idea of the Ogun State Summer Camp, and this is our third year. The first 2 years have hosted in excess of 100 children, and we remain focused on the target of 250. This is a program where we reward those that have distinguished themselves through the initiative of unified examination on a termly basis to be rewarded for their good performance. And we bring them into camp. For many of them, it's the closest they will get to an offshore experience, where they're exposed to fun knowledge and life skills, using the best-in-class resources drawn from all walks of life to come and complement their core education.
As the administration is winding down, it is clear that a solid foundation has been laid for successive administration to build on. Ido Fabaju, Ogtv News.
And still on education, local state government has promised to continue to give priority attention to training and retraining of its workforce, particularly teachers in primary and post-primary schools, for efficient and effective service delivery. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education, Science and Technology, Alhaji Shafir Rashid, who gave the pledge at a workshop organized by the Ministry for Science Teachers in public schools across the state, held at Lishabi Grammar School, Idiaba, Abeokuta, said that the workshop became pertinent due to the fact that the teachers still rely on the outdated conventional ways of teaching, not considering options that are in accordance with what the curriculum refined. Earlier in a welcome address, Director, Science and Technology Department, Alhaja Oluwatosin, said the method of teaching and the attitude applied while teaching portrays who a teacher is, as well as determining how much positive impact they have on students. Meanwhile, the Ogun State government has commended the state branch of Parents Teachers Association, PTA, for the laudable roles it has played at ensuring provision of affordable qualitative education for citizens of the state. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Alhaji Shafir Rashid, stated this at an induction seminar for all PTA chairmen, treasurers and public school heads, organized by the ministry in collaboration with relevant associations in the state. Earlier in a welcome address at the ceremony, the state PTA chairman, Reverend Folorunso Olusegun, stated that the seminar was organized in order to enable the state PTA and schools management to work harmoniously for efficient educational system. The consultant to Ogun State Governor on Energy, Chief Taiwo Fagbemi, has assured energy consumers on the state independent power plant that its prepaid metering process is meant to promote efficiency and cost effectiveness. Fagbemi, who spoke while sensitizing members of the State House of Assembly on the loading of credit into the meter, explains that all issues arising from the process are being addressed by the State Bureau of Electrical Engineering Services.
Our purpose of meeting you today is to sensitize the legislative members, because the power we are running right now is prepaid. Prepaid in the sense that anybody coming onto the grid of the power we are running must be prepared to accept to come in on prepaid. We are not running power on postpaid because we have looked at the various methodology of how best we can service our people seamlessly. And we believe if we get the issue of payment, that is the guarantee of sustainability of the power we are talking about.
that, the Speaker, Honorable Suraj Ishola Adekunbi, represented by his deputy Olakunle Oluomo, tasked the energy provider to continue to be responsive to the needs and yearnings of the consumers. Honorable Oluomo assured that other complaints from the consumers will be forwarded to the desk person at the Bureau and counselled the Bureau to ensure that issues raised at the session are promptly addressed. The National Council of State has approved preparations made by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for the conduct of the forthcoming general elections. The NEC also approved the Council is the transmission of the new minimum wage bill of 27,000 naira to the National Assembly for consideration. This was major highlights of resolution taken at the meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. 4 heads of state, including Chief Olusegun Obasanjo and the immediate past President Goodluck Jonathan, attended the meeting, the first in the year 2019. Others present were Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, former Chief Justice of Nigeria, the Senate President and governors of various states. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu was engaged by the Council on issues relating to the conduct of the forthcoming general elections beginning February 16.
It is basically about our preparations for the general election, the logistics arrangement, recruitment of ad hoc staff, the delivery of materials for the election. And I want to assure Nigerians that there will be a pleasant voting experience in 2019 and that their votes will count.
Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State, who briefed journalists after the Council's deliberation on the presentation of the nation's electoral umpire, said members were fully satisfied.
Very lucid, it was clear, it was all-encompassing. He also told the Council that they are not lacking in terms of finance and that all the money appropriated had been given to them and they are ready for the election. He was interrogated and he responded and gave adequate explanation to the satisfaction of all of us. And everybody in the hall was convinced that INEC was ready for this election.
The National Council of State also deliberated on the reports of the new national minimum wage already decided by both the federal executives and the National Economic Council.
To the National Assembly, a new minimum wage bill. The highlights is what you want to know. The figure of 27,000 monthly has been approved and will be sent to the National Assembly before the close of work tomorrow.
Dr. Chris Ngige said the national minimum wage bill will now be reviewed every 5 years as a matter of law, and that any employer of labor that has up to 25 persons on its payroll must comply.
It's the benchmark that the lowest paid worker will get. States or organizations that are able to pay more than 27,000 could do so. It depends on the financial capacity. For example, the federal government has resolved that their own workers will not get anything less than 30,000.
At the council meeting, members observed a moment of silence in honor of the late President Shehu Shagari and late Chief Justices of Nigeria, Justice Kutugi and Justice Aloysius Kasila Alu. The Director General, National Youth Service Corps (NYSC), Major General Sulaiman Kazaure, has warned corps members to avoid any form of election malpractice, as anyone caught will be prosecuted. Kazaure gave the warning in Ibadan during his advocacy and sensitization visits to your state in respect of the forthcoming elections. The Director General warned the corps members not to accept any form of inducement, including money from politicians, strangers, and members of the public. He advised them to always study the environment and be security conscious, saying corps members participating in election duties must be in the NYSC uniform. As we approach the 2019 polls, the National Orientation Agency has called on Nigerians to embrace peace during and after the 2019 general elections. Director General of NOA, Garaba Abari, made the call at the national inauguration of the campaign for peaceful 2019 general elections in Abuja. Abari stated that national sensitization is very key to building a peaceful nation, stressing that peace is worth working and fighting for. He added that it is also a prerequisite for a meaningful life for every citizen. The NOA boss pointed out that it is high time for the Nigerian youth across the country to say no to greedy and selfish politicians who will lure them with money and other material benefits to cause violence during elections. Oladipupo Ogunbolo reports that the campaign inauguration had in attendance security agencies, religious leaders and relevant stakeholders. The European Union EU Election Observation Mission to Nigeria has demanded transparency and accountability from all institutions in the election involved in the conduct of the general elections. Chief of EU Observer Maris Rena stressed the Independent National Electoral Commission and security agencies must not only be neutral, but must be seen to be neutral. Rena, who briefed reporters on activities and mandate of the EU Electoral Mission to Nigeria, also charged political actors to work with integrity, while noting that EU attaches great significance to the elections. She, however, stressed EU main concern is in the process and not the outcome of the elections. For the general elections, Serena said EU will be deploying 11 election analysts and 40 long-term observers. The observers, according to her, will be spread across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, covering 20 cities. She further explained that the election observation mission is completely independent of EU delegations and will assess Nigeria's commitment to electoral laws and international best practices. Still to come in the news, Code of Conduct Tribunal declines to suspend proceedings and the criminal charges federal government entered against CJN. More news and reports after the break.
Lagbaja. Omo Baba Muko. How do I know you're not an imposter? So you play me something.
Abba, my band members are all over the world. Let me connect with them on Glow 4G and make some great music for you.
Who's on Glow here?
I got Glow. I've got Glow too.
I go show you.
Hello, sir.
Aleki, Gogo, Jide, guitar. Uzo, give me conga. Ahmed, keyboard.
1, 2, 3.
No matter where you are in the world, rest assured, Glow has you covered. Glow Oga SIM, the unrivaled big boss of data. Upgrade to a 4G SIM for free and get 125% bonus. Also enjoy 25% data bonus on all auto renewals. Dial *777# to choose a plan.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the Ogtv News. To sustain the transformation of the state and build on the solid foundation being laid through Ogun 50-year development master plan, the resident must make a right choice in the coming elections. Ogun State Governor Senator Ibikula Amosun said this during his Ogun Central senatorial election and re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari campaign towards an Abeokuta North local government. Matthew Shomi reports.
The time they have been waiting for is finally here. It was an open display of support for a man whose Midas touch has brought unprecedented level of progress and development, as he offers himself for another level of service by representing the Ogun Central Senatorial District at the upper chamber. Impressed by what has been witnessed under his administration, the people of Lafenwa were delighted to welcome the senatorial candidates to their midst with assurance of quality representation at the Red Chamber.
We all know that the governor is a man who is working very well, and we all know his work. So all of us will try to appreciate it. By the grace of God, it's going to be the next senator of the Ogun Central, by the grace of God.
Governor Amosun says there is a great future ahead for the state, and the people can only play their part with right selection of leadership. Agoika was agog for the man described as one of their own, whose down strides have helped in redefining their community. The APC senatorial candidates urged them to be peaceful and stand by their votes.
We are ready to vote. Without PDC, we cannot be part of this election.
The people of Bagura Ward were in celebration mood as they waited patiently to receive the governor with a promise of 100% of their votes. Governor Amosun promised quality representation while ensuring that the zone gets a fair share of development.
But you see what we have done. God will not come down like I said. God will use you to elect the governor that you want. And you've seen we have demonstrated capacity. We have demonstrated that we can preach once we are given the opportunity to serve our people. And that is why today, to the glory of God, I am happy that nobody, even our most whatever critic, the one that every day they will say Amosun is not doing, Amosun is not doing that, they will never say Amosun is not working. They will say what Amosun is doing, they have not done it in our.
He promised that his remaining days in office will be spent working for the people. Matthew Shomi, Ogtv News.
The need for the unemployed individuals to learn and acquire new skills that will make them self-employed as well as become employers of labor in the areas is the focus of the Allied People's Movement in Ogun State. The party's gubernatorial flag bearer, Honorable Adekunle Abdulkabir Akinladi, stated this as one of the party's cardinal objectives in his campaign visit to Ewekoro local government area. Peter Falomo reports.
Allied People's Movement campaign team to the 10 wards in Ewekoro local government area began with a visit to workshop of Nigerian Automobile Technicians Association, NATA, Obadaoko, to foster deeper understanding between the party and the artisans.
Primary schools, carpenter, bricklayer, plumber, electrician, mechanic, welder, that is what we want.
Obadaoko Ward, Owowo, Wasimi, Mosan, and Elere wards were places visited by APM campaign train and the party's governorship candidate, Honorable Adekunle Akinlade, speaks more on his vision for rural renewal and upgrade trading activities to those living in the countryside.
There is a standard in Ogun State today that I, Honorable Adekunle Akinlade, will compare other developments with. We have developed our capital, investors are free.
Some people, in their opinion, say cardinal programs of APM will no doubt sustain outstanding development in Ogun State.
Social development, was talking about financing.
He also has this gift of stepping into Governor Ibekule Amosun's shoes.
Others added that there is every need for the electorate to rally support for the party.
With the Akinlade coming in, he will still do more in the urban and we do more at the rural.
We don't even expect to hear from him like that, but presently I'm promising him for this particular what he has said that we are going to back him up and he's going to enter by the grace of God.
Speaking on behalf of the royal fathers and chiefs in Ewekoro local government, Oba Abdulfatai Akurede Akamo speaks volume of solid foundation being laid by the current administration in the state and endorsed Honorable Adekunle Akinlade for governorship seat in Ogun State.
This is what he has ordained. And we stand on good governance. And our way, Governor Amosun's way, is our way. By the grace of Almighty God, we will be there.
Other wards visited in the council area were Ashayobo, Papalanto, and Arigbajo. At Itori Mega Rally, AAA enjoins the people to remain steadfast with the party, adding that the formation of APM is centered around the needs of Ogun residents. Movement of APM campaign train across the state continues. Peter Falomo, Ogtv News.
Youth have been admonished to imbibe the culture and tradition of the land, especially in the areas of music, drama and dance. This charge came to fore at the annual Tuwalasha Intercollegiate Cultural Competition held at Abeokuta Grammar School, Idiaba, Abeokuta. Ife Sholuade's report is presented in this package.
It is no longer history that Western culture has eroded traditional ethics and cultural orientation in society, hence the decadence in the nation's socio-cultural values. It is in view of this that Tiwalasha Intercollegiate Cultural Competition held its maiden edition at Abeokuta Grammar School with 13 participating schools in attendance. The organizer, with the support of Ogun State Ministry of Education, shares her thoughts.
Because these youths, they are the future of tomorrow. If they don't encourage them to like our culture, I don't know what will happen in the next future.
Some guests and participants speak on the need to sustain this kind of platform in order to promote Yoruba culture.
I will encourage all parents, especially parents, because it is whatever we give to these kids that they will bring out. We should try and encourage them to imbibe our culture. It's very, very good.
Choose at least one out of the dancing or even stage performance, and we artists, we are also ready to support them. If they want anything from us, they should call on us. We are ready to support every one of them.
I want to implore the government to please let this program to be continued every year so that our culture will be shown to everybody.
Muslim Comprehensive High School Ijebu-Ode emerges winner of the competition after its wonderful stage drama performance. Some participants also received a word of recognition at the event.
The Senate has adjourned Tuesday's plenary for lack of quorum. The quorum for Senate is 37 senators, but only 7 were present.
Not all senators are contesting this election. Those who are not contesting may be able to make up the quorum that is required to have the chamber running. Then number 2, remember the election is for 16th February. Now, shortly after the elections, we are all expected to be back here.
The need for total restructuring of both the economy and political system of the country, Nigeria, is on the front burner as the wife of the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate, Chief Mrs. Titilayo Atiku Abubakar, visits party leaders in Ogun State. Chief Mrs. Titilayo Atiku Abubakar attended the town hall meeting with top members and leaders of the party to canvass votes for her husband as president and Honorable Oladipupo Adibutu as Ogun State Governor during the general elections. Details are in this package.
Leaders and members of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Ogun State, including members of community development associations, traditional leaders, religious leaders, market women and men, and artisans, converged on Abeokuta to welcome wife of the presidential candidate of the party, Chief Mrs. Titilayo Atiku Abubakar, to a town hall meeting. Welcoming the gathering, State Chairman of the party, Honorable Sikiru Gundele, urges people of Ogun State to consider the antecedents of the presidential candidate of the party and the governorship candidate of the party in Ogun State, Honorable Oladipupo Adibutu, and vote for them in the elections.
We are looking forward to the justice to prevail, and by the grace of Almighty God, at the end of the day, after all the shenanigans, we shall see the light at the end of the day. Honorable Oladipupo will be declared as the governor of Ogun State.
Chief Mrs. Titilayo Atiku, on behalf of her husband, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, says restructuring of Nigeria is the solution to the problems facing the country, while encouraging people to vote for the party at all levels.
Atiku wants to restructure Nigeria, and he has been talking about this restructuring since he was the vice president. Restructuring is that, you see, there is too much power at the center. We want to decentralize. We want the state to have benefit of what is happening at the center. We want all the local governments to enjoy all the booties, because this, our government, is going to be a government of inclusive.
Honorable Oladipupo Adibutu also reminds Nigerians that it is only in a united country that there is hope for prosperity.
In a united country, we have hope for prosperity. Therefore, it is imperative that we are going to make Nigeria work again.
Other personalities like state women leader of the party, Mrs. Shade Filani, director of support group Atiku Presidential Campaign, Honorable Oladimeji Fabiyi, former deputy governor of Ogun State, Alhaja Salmat Badru, representative of traditional leaders, Chief Tunji Falola, religious leaders, and other invited personalities also promised their support for the party.
The Code of Conduct Tribunal, CCT, in Abuja has declined to suspend further proceedings on the criminal charge the federal government entered against the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onagan. The tribunal, in a 2-1 decision, said it will go ahead to hear the application the CJN filed to challenge its jurisdiction to try him on the 6-count charge that bordered on his alleged refusal to declare his assets. However, there was a sharp disagreement between the chairman of the tribunal, Mr. Danladi Umar, and another member of the panel, William Agwada Ateze, on the legal propriety of going ahead with the trial, despite 4 separate interim injunctions restraining all the parties from taking further steps in the matter pending the determination of suits before different high courts and the National Industrial Court. Whereas the CCT chairman in his ruling maintained that the tribunal was not constitutionally bound by orders from both the High Court and the NIC, and therefore rejected CJN's application for the case to be adjourned The National Drugs Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has arrested 20 suspected illicit drug dealers in Anambra. According to Mr. Sule Momodu, the Senate State Commandant, Momodu told a news briefing in Oka that the arrest followed intensive raid of black spots across the state by officers and men of the agency ahead of the 2019 general elections. It said that the raid became imperative due to revelations that some politicians usually induce thugs with illicit drugs to engage in violence during polls. Momodu, however, warned politicians in the state to shun acts capable of promoting violence during the forthcoming elections. According to him, the agency is determined to ensure effective security arrangements before, during, and after the elections. It's now time to bring you business news as the Central Bank of Nigeria resolves to leave monetary policy rate at 14%. This and more on business news.
Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria has resolved to leave the monetary policy rate and otherwise known as interest rate at 14%. It also retained the cash reverse ratio CRR at 22.5% and liquidity ratio at 30%. Addressing journalists at the end of the two-day Monetary Policy Committee meeting in Abuja, CBN Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele said, among other things, that rising NPR at this time could erode the gains recently achieved in its policy decisions. The NPR is the rate at which the CBN lends to commercial banks, often determines the cost of borrowing in the economy. The nation's stock market reversed into gaining strike on the back of weak tech, industrial and oil and gas stocks. Sell-offs in the stocks sent the equity benchmark lower, with losses amounting to 102 billion naira. The market, which gained 723 billion naira in 5 consecutive days, saw 14% of its gains wiped out as the market capitalization of the equity listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange dropped to 11.460 trillion naira from 11.562 trillion naira. The all-share index declined by 0.88% to settle at 30,732.72 basis points from 31,005.17 basis points recorded, while the year-to-end return settled at minus 2.2%. The Federal Inland Revenue Service received a total of 300.4 billion naira within a 3-year period covering 2016 to 2018. The figure was obtained from the FIRS in Abuja. The law setting up the FIRS allows the agencies to deduct 4% of the cost of revenue collection from non-oil taxes before remitting same into the Federation account. The FIRS is one of the agencies of the government that generate revenue for sharing by the 3 tiers of government. Other agencies are the Nigerian Customs Service and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. The breakdown of the 300.4 billion naira cost of revenue collection by the FIRS shows that 85.99 billion naira was received in 2016. This is about 2.6% of the total actual taxes of 3.30 trillion naira collected in 2016. The federal government may be compelled to increase tax rates or introduce new ones in 2019 as part of strategies to meet its financial obligations under the new minimum wage. Partner and head of tax reporting and strategy at PwC Nigeria, and West African Markets, Mr. Kenneth Erikume, disclosed this in a report titled Nigeria Tax Predictions for 2019, made available in Lagos at the weekend. The tax experts maintained that ongoing negotiations between the federal government, Nigeria Labour Congress, and the academic staff unions of universities would put significant pressure on government to consider the introduction of new taxes and/or increase current tax rates. A number of states are struggling to pay salaries under the current wage structure, and an increase in minimum wage may result in the government considering an increase in personal income tax rate. At the federal level, the government may explore introducing of taxes on consumption, on luxury tax or excess on other non-essential products, it projected. Against the backdrop of the recent drop in the global crude oil price, the International Monetary Fund said that Nigeria's economy would expand more slowly in 2019 than previously predicted. The IMF, in its World Economic Outlook update titled Weakened Global Expansion, reversed down the country's gross domestic product projection for this year to 2% from 2.3% projected in October 2018. It also lowered the economic growth forecast for the next year to 2.2% from the 2.5% it previously predicted. The Washington-based fund said in sub-Saharan Africa, growth is expected to pick up from 2.9% in 2018 to 3.5% in 2019 and 3.6% in 2020. And that's it on business news. The rest of the news continue shortly.
Welcome back. It's now time to bring you some foreign news. The United States Supreme Court has allowed President Donald Trump to enforce his policy of banning certain transgender people from the military. The court voted 5-4 to grant a Trump administration request to lift injunctions blocking the policy, while challenges continue in lower courts. The 4 liberal judges on the court opposed the ruling. The policy prohibits transgender persons who require or have undergone gender transitions from serving. The president announced on Twitter in 2017 that the country would no longer accept or allow transgender Americans to serve in the military, citing tremendous medical costs and disruption. Dozens of Afghan security staff were killed by Taliban militants who overran a military intelligence base near Kabul, officials have confirmed. At least 43 people were killed and 54 injured in Monday's attack, the NDS intelligence service told the news. Insurgents blew their way into the base using a car bomb before opening fire. It is one of the deadliest attacks on the Secret Service and follows a string of battlefield setbacks for the army. The attack on the National Directorate for Security (NDS) in central Wadal province came hours before the Taliban held another round of peace talks with U.S. diplomats in Qatar. Reports say the base in Maidan Shahari, about 30 kilometers southwest of Kabul, is a training center for pro-government militia members. It's now time for sport news with Moses Ojomi.
Welcome to the sports segment of the news. And let's start from the local scene. The executive members of International Students Football Union ISFU have paid a courtesy visit to the management of Ogun State Television (Ogtv), intimating them of their ongoing invitational championship featuring facilities across Africa. The executive team, led by its General Secretary Andrei Stukalov, acknowledged the role of media in the projection of its events.
The core, the basis of ISFU, the idea of ISFU, is that ASFU is now working on, is to create national state football leagues in every African country. If this understands the power of the media, that the media does not only promote sports, football, whatever you want to call it, it also promotes a healthy style of lifestyle. Good.
In response, Deputy General Manager, Program Services, Ogtv, Mr. Festus Kende, assures them of necessary support as part of the station's contribution to development of sports.
Ogtv is a sport-friendly TV station. We believe so strongly in the power of sport. We believe sport is not only for money making alone, it's also to build body and soul. And because of that, Ogtv strives to allocate sufficient time for sport on our schedule. We always support anything sport, particularly football.
Part of the 6-man team of ISFU are famous sports psychologist Professor Shun Omotayo and ex-international Peter Ufai. And let's switch gear to Europe, where football superstar Cristiano Ronaldo has cut a deal with a court in Madrid over tax evasion charges, accepting an 18.8 million euros. A huge media presence met the player outside the court after a judge refused his request to appear by video or to enter the building by car to avoid the spotlight. The deal agreed in advance includes a 23-month jail sentence, but in Spain, convicts do not usually do time for sentences under 2 years. The court appearance lasted 9 minutes as Ronaldo accepted the deal offered by prosecutors. Premier League footballer Emiliano Sala was on a light aircraft which went missing over the Channel Islands, the French Civil Aviation Authority said. The 15 million euro Argentine striker was one of the 2 people on board the Pepe Malibu, which lost contact of the admin in the Channel Island on Monday night. Cardiff City signed Salah for a record fee from French club Nantes on Saturday. Police said there was no trace of the Cardiff-bound flight. Arsenal right back Hector Bellerin has been ruled out for 6 to 9 months after rupturing his anterior cruciate ligaments. Bellerin sustained the injury during the second half of Arsenal's 2-0 win against Chelsea on Saturday, when he went down unchallenged and was carried off on a stretcher. The 23-year-old was making his first start since mid-December, having overcome a calf problem, but will now miss the remainder of the season and possibly the start of the 2019-2020 season. Arsenal reviewed the severity of Bellerin's injury earlier today with a statement on their website. And lastly, in the world of tennis, second seed Rafael Nadal is past unseeded American Francis Tiafoe to reach the Australian Open semi-finals and continue his bid to win all 4 Grand Slams for a second time. The 32-year-old Spaniard cracked 29 winners in a 6-3, 6-4, 6-2 victory. The 17th-time Grand Slam champion will play Stefanos' pass in the last 4 after the 20-year-old Greek beat Spain's Roberto Batistuta Agut. And that's it on Sport News. The rest of the bulletin continues shortly with Muji. Thanks so much for watching.
We shall now serve you with the forecast. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Another look at the top stories now. The Ogun State government has restated commitments towards developing the education sector. The National Council of State has approved preparations made by INEC towards successful conduct of 2019 general elections. Scores of people have been killed in Taliban attack on Afghan intelligence base. Cristiano Ronaldo has avoided jail over tax evasion and paid 18.8 million euros. That brings us to the end of the news. From all of us here, we say goodbye.